mama said, what?
Your mama said what?
Your mama said what?
Your mama said what?
Welcome everyone to a new episode of Your Mama Said What? Pearls of Wisdom, Raw and Polished podcast. Lately, we have all watched the same movie, and today we would like to review the movie called, well, it's actually a documentary, and it's called Maxine Baby. It's a story about Tyler Perry. And I have so much respect for Tyler Perry. I mean, I was a Tyler Perry fan before. Now I am even more of a fan that he has revealed his backstory and just opened up all of these wounds for us to have an insight into his life. Just for you to know, everyone has a story, and his story was so very touching. Even though it was not narrated by Mr. Tyler Perry, it just shows his commitment to Black excellence. And as I said, we have all viewed it, and I would just like to have a little round table discussion about that movie. So we're going to go to my sister V.
Greetings, everyone. So I'm also a big Tyler Perry fan also too. And watching the movie, I seen some things, but some things I had already know because he's really active here in Atlanta. And he's always doing things for the holidays, for Thanksgiving. He helps with, when people are, unfortunately, some are incarcerated or something. Whatever's going on, if somebody has some issues, he helps with. So I always had big respect for him because of that. And the story, it does give you a little more detail into his life and him growing up. And it was really it was sad. It was really sad. But I'm glad it just shows you, his strength, him being able to come out of that and be able to share, because it's one thing to go through it, but to actually share that with everybody, and of course, he always getting, of course, there's always critics. They, always have bad things to say, regardless of whatever he does. But it was just real. I thought it was a really good depiction of, who he is and how he became who he is. And what he went through. And he, as he says, is just to show people that, no matter where you come from, what you go through, as long as you have faith and you continue to keep pushing through, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. So I like that because he was able to share more of what than his plays and, and his movies. So I thought it was a good movie and interesting, very interesting. So
I was amazed by the amount of people that he employed, that he gives, gainful employment to in Atlanta. Have you ever seen the studio, Sister V?
No, I passed by
it. Oh, you passed by it?
Yeah, I passed by it. Yeah.
Do they do tours?
They were doing tours before 2020. I'm sure they're probably doing it back again, but I haven't checked to see. But it would be nice. But they were doing tours once he first opened in 2019.
Yeah. Sister Jalen, what's your take on the documentary?
Well, I can't say that I'm a Tyler Perry fan, but I do partake of too many of his shows. But no, the documentary was interesting. I mean, I've heard about a lot of things that he spoke about, like the abuse but not in any depth like they went into in the documentary. So it was interesting, as Sister V said, that well, the abuse is what propelled him to do what he did, because of it he started writing. He found a safe space by writing, and that's what propelled him to become who he is. So I would recommend, maybe I'm doing this too soon, but I would recommend people watch it just to get an insight into him and why he does what he does. So that was interesting how we're going to talk about that later. That it was interesting why he writes what he writes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I have some comments on what he writes too. So.
Yes.
Sister Sass, you okay?
Okay, so what I found most interesting when he said that he would retreat to a small crawl space, I don't know if it was behind his home or underneath his home, and spend hours and hours and hours in this private sanctuary. And he said that's where he learned to use his imagination in solitude. So being alone with only his thoughts probably expanded his imagination. I'm sure he has many personalities inside of himself, to protect
we know
himself.
Medea's one.
That comes
yes, and she's my favorite. She's my favorite. And how he connected Medea. I thought it was his grandmother that he was always speaking of in his plays, Medea, but come to find out it was his aunt, who was a gun-toting, very tall woman. Medea is my favorite character. Okay, I firmly believe in artistic expression. Okay, and I never had a problem with Medea, even though he was trying to kill her. Okay, but we won't let her die. We love Medea. I love Medea. She's my favorite character, and I really like how he goes off script with Medea. I know Medea. I'm completely a Medea in our community.
And that's what he said. He said that, with a lot of his characters, it's someone that we can relate to and can, in some form or another. It's not only just Medea, his Uncle Joe, his, what's the one her friend, I can't remember. Bam. Yeah, Bam. Mm-hmm. And the other one, the younger one. Well, she's not young on the show, but she's her other friend, the blonde
Cora.
one. No,
the one, what's it?
The one that always is
chasing after every man that comes in the room.
That's I can't remember her name, but yeah, her too. And I love the characters because again, they're relatable because there's somebody or hints of somebody that we know, So that's why, and that's what he says. So that's what he grew up on. So that's what he writes about. And I understand that, and that's great. And that's what gets people to his plays and gets people to go to his movies. He said that his movie, was it Diary of a Black Woman? I think he spent $5 million on it, and it
10 times.
10 times, yes. I was like, wow. But I actually love the movie too. So I understand that. And the thing about him that I love is because he gives back. Everybody don't always know. Sometimes, they'll catch him somewhere doing something here in Atlanta and then they'll talk about it. But there's a lot of stuff that he does that philanthropy that he does that people don't even know about, But he gives, but he does give back. He did that that which used to be a base, Fort McPherson. It used to be a military base, So I'm like, wow, he bought it, and he employed a lot of people.
But not just the military base; it was a Confederate Army base.
Yes, I didn't know that. I mean, again, there's a lot of history here in Georgia that I'm not familiar with, but he knew that, and that's what he did. And I love the fact that he did that. And it was a Confederate Army base, So the fact that he is now a black man that now has control of that property and what he's doing on it, excellent. Love it.
And he commented, he said that the Confederate Army base, they were plotting to keep the blacks in place. And now there's one Negro. Well, they didn't say blacks. He said Negro. And now there's one Negro that owns it.
Yes. So, exactly. Applause to him. Absolutely. But we don't have an applause.
We don't want the applause. We don't want the applause. We'll use our hands.
I love the way he gave a tribute to his mother. Okay, and he so that's acknowledging that feminine life force that brought you into being. And I love the way he expressed her sacrifices by staying in that abusive relationship, how she equated the abuse with surviving and being able to care for her children. And so many women are in that same predicament. So he truly explains how that could happen and why she did stay, even, after he became prominent and was able to take care of her, she still chose to be with this man. So, it's just a commitment that the elders had to try to keep families together. And that he still takes care of his father is another aspect that's very honorable. And I don't even think that was his real father, because they did a DNA test, right? They did it. That's just remarkable to find out this after all this abuse. This man is really not even my father, and still take care of him to the end. And it seemed like he was a bitter old ornery man, cussing.
I think he's still alive.
Yeah. He's a bitter old ornery man. Okay, right to this very day. That was another interesting aspect.
But Tyler, he talks about a few things. He said one of the things he said early on, he said that his mother loved Emmett Perry Sr.
Yes. Right.
She loved him. She said to the day she died, she loved him. Also, I knew early on when he kept saying, I don't understand how this man could beat his child. In the back of my mind, I'm like, that's not his child. But then later on it came out that the mother told him, because he asked, like, why? She said, because he doesn't think he's yours, that you're his. That doesn't justify why he did it, but that's maybe why he was abusing the mother and the father. I mean, the mother and the son, because he didn't think that it was that Tyler was his. Come to find out, Tyler wasn't his. But then he also talked about the father, that the father was abused, that the father and his siblings was found like in a ditch by this white man. The white man took them to this young white girl, 14 years old. And all she knew that she hung him up in a tree. She hung him up in a tree. And I'm trying to, because I wrote it down. Put them in potato sacks and was beating them. So that's all he knew. He knew to get somebody to do something that you wanted them to do, you beat them. And another thing that he said around the same time he was making that comment, he said what he learned, he said he forgave him. And he said, because what you have to realize is that parents have a story too.
Absolutely.
And we have to, in order to get to, I guess, the way they are, we have to find out what their story is.
Yeah. He said
that's why he's still.
He said with his mother got married at 17. then had the first baby at 18, and then the other sister at 19, and him at 21 or 20.
It's like 4 years later.
Yeah. Yes. So she didn't know too much of anything else either. You know, she was all he knew. And to her, that was normal. Probably was normal to her. You know, we don't know. And but he did, as he says, that's what comes up in his movies. You know, in Diary of not Diary of I Can Do Bad by Myself. Remember the young, well, no, the mother was on drugs. Well, in one of the movies,
Family Reunion.
Well, what point are you making? Maybe we can.
Where about the abuse with the parents? And there was quite a few of the mothers getting abused. Yeah. The children, the children are there and see it. I can't remember which one of the shows, but it was probably more than one.
Well, Family Reunion it's not children. Children aren't involved. Well, in Family Reunion, there's two things going on. You have the two sisters. One sister is single with the two children, and they never really get into why she's alone. But then her sister, who's marrying, what's his name? Blair Underwood, right? She's about to marry Blair Underwood, and he's abusing her.
Right.
So, and one of the things he said that they never wanted to take a chance on him because they didn't know who he was. They calling around, like, do you know who Tyler Perry is? Who's Tyler? Nobody have ever heard of Tyler Perry. And then he said he had this focus group, and in the focus group, he said, "Has anybody heard of Tyler Perry?" He said, "Everybody black hand went up. None of the white hands went up." Right. And so then they realized, oh, wait a minute, he has a following. Yeah. So the whole thing that he says that he has this following because everybody can relate to that. I don't relate to a lot of stuff he does. That's just me personally. I don't know Medea's. I don't know Bam's.
Then maybe it could be you. No.
Ooh. The shade. Oh my God, the shade. Good one, V. Good one.
Well, I don't think I am Medea. I don't think I'm Bam, and I'm definitely not the other one, whatever her name is. We need to find out what her name is.
No, oh my gosh, yeah.
We need to find out what her character's name is.
And what's so funny is I think she lives out here. She lives out in Georgia as well. And a lot of people, of course, most of stuff is filmed at his studio. There's so many things that is filmed at his studio that I didn't even know. But,
yeah. One of the things that I found out was that when Amos and Andy were popular, he said they were the only black show on television. Okay. I'm not even sure if it was on television or in media. Maybe it was radio. He said, but during that time, they were boycotted by black people.
The NAACP.
As if Amos and oh yeah, did he say the NAACP? Okay, the NAACP, and he just said that was profound to me. He said the only black show, and he don't know why. We feel that we are carrying a race on our shoulder. Everything we do is gonna set black people back, 100 years. And that was the reason they boycotted Amos and Andy. I'm like, that's amazing. That's some amazing information and a perspective. It's always your own kind. That's what he was trying to say. It's your own kind that's trying to pull you down. In your own house, that's where you'll find hatred. And that was a profound statement. But he just kept on doing what he loved to do. And he became the man that he is.
Right. And I also love the fact that he did not conform to what they wanted him to do. Yep. He did what he wanted to do and his story and show, his side of the story. Because he also stated in the documentary that if they wasn't able to do it his way, he didn't work with them.
That's right.
And I was like, that is so great. And that's why now he does what he do. He has his own studio. You know, he is hiring a lot of people. Not and it's not just Black people. He hires but he gives them an opportunity. When they had the strike, I think his people came back before everybody else did. I think they were still writing there. That studio was still open when they strike.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. You know, people need money. Absolutely.
And also naming 12 of the sound stages after different people. I was like, that's amazing. Whoopi Goldberg, Denzel Washington, Sidney Poitier, all of them are immortalized in his soundstage, and others, Diane Carroll. Oh, just on and on and on. I think that was so great. I am so proud of him. I have such admiration for him after looking at Maxine's baby.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can we go back a little? The NAACP also boycotted The Color Purple.
And Oprah Winfrey put it into the movie.
On what grounds?
I think the same thing. I'm not sure, but he said that they boycotted The Color Purple also. I wonder if they're going to boycott the movie that's about the color. But
you know, it's one getting ready to come out. It's another one getting ready to be remade.
It came out already?
I think it is.
I think December 12th, something like that.
Oh, so it did come out. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But in the documentary, that was Killer Mike talking, right? Wasn't that Killer Mike?
Yes.
All right.
So
I thought it was Big Frida. I thought it was somebody named Big Frida.
That wasn't Big Frida. I know who Big Frida was.
That was no.
I don't know these people, girl. I don't know these people. Yeah.
But Killer Mike was saying how going back to us carrying our community on our backs. And he was saying how Caucasian people can do the most ridiculous things, and it's not said that you're making all Irish people or all British people look a certain way. But if we think about it, we do carry that on our back. That's how we act. Like, you can't act this way. Just think about when we were younger, and even maybe with our children, we was out. Don't go out and embarrass me. Don't go out and do this. Don't go out and do that. Don't go out and do that. Because people already have a negative. They stereotype us negatively about how we acting. So I could totally understand that they was like, oh, don't do that. And I've never watched. I guess I was probably too young with Andy and Amos. Right? Amy, what is it? Andy?
Amy and Amos?
Amos and Andy. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, they acted kind of like buffoonery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I would may have been boycotting.
I've not watched it either, right?
I may have been boycotting that also. So I understand that we want to put ourselves in the best light. I get that. But again, when do we break away from needing the approval of other people? And I think that's what he was dealing. Why do we have to? Because if you look at other communities, their children out there acting whatever, and we'd be looking at them like, down, if you were my child, you would not be doing that. Because we put that that was put on us, and I know I put it on my children. Don't go outside acting a fool.
Right.
Don't go do this. Don't go do that.
Outside. It doesn't matter whether they black. You ain't going outside and acting a fool. No.
But we say that other communities don't say that because we see it when we're out there. Mm-hmm. Other communities don't say that. Mm-hmm. So I can understand that why they may want to boycott. And even in the documentary, you hear other people speaking, mainly men, honestly. Mainly men speaking about the characters and what they look like, and there was some non-black looking people on the corner boycotting the fact that he wears a dress in this character, because it's a character, it's not him.
Right.
But they had an issue with him saying he's Christian and him wearing a dress.
Right. A lot of people did. Remember with he said even when in his documentary he said that's why he had to leave New Orleans, because they weren't comfortable with his they didn't support. He said they didn't support his plays. So that's why he came to Atlanta. and where Atlanta was a little more receptive to it. It took him a few years, as he stated, but they were a little more receptive to, his plays. I'll say, let's just say his plays. But I don't know if you remember, a long time ago, it was a lot of people who were protesting against not protesting, who were against him because he was wearing that dress. But again, as you said, it was a character that he was playing. Then after that but then think about it. Remember, Flip Wilson. We loved Flip Wilson as Geraldine. I mean, he was doing it, but it was a character he was playing.
I wonder if he was the first one that did that.
I'm trying to.
I think so. I think so.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then Martin Lawrence started doing it, and he had all those different characters.
Eddie Murphy.
Who's Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy and when the family.
The Nutty Professor.
Yeah,
part one and
he was all of them. He was all.
It wasn't Nutty Professor. Was it the Nutty Professor?
Yes, it was.
Eddie Murphy. The name of the movie was the Nutty Professor.
Yes. The name was the Clumps.
Yeah,
the Clumps. That's what the name of the family was. The Clumps. Yes.
Okay, the Clumps is the name.
Yeah. And
Norbit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Did he do two? Oh, he did He was
He was the woman in Norbit.
Whatever her name was, Raspuska or something like that.
Yeah, wasn't he? Right. That's he played her, didn't he?
Right.
But he was Norbit, though. He was Norbit. And who was the other?
Oh no, he was right. He was Norbit, not
he was Norbit. But who was? But there was another character in there. Who was he though? What was the woman?
Not in that one. That was a real.
His wife. That wasn't a real woman.
Right. But okay, so we're naming all of these other people who played or who dressed up as a woman, but they would fall underneath the same scrutiny.
Absolutely, they did.
As everybody else. So I mean,
and they did.
Yeah.
But nobody criticized the man that played Tootsie. Remember Tootsie?
Right.
He played he wanted. You remember with Robin? Was it Robin Williams?
Nobody
criticized him. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we don't know if anybody criticized him because we hear from our community. Mm-hmm. We don't know if anybody in his community may have criticized him. Mm-hmm. They may have. You just never know.
Well, as a mama, I'm gonna say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Your mama said that?
No, I didn't say my mama said it. I said I'm gonna say it. As a mama, I'm gonna say it. Yes.
Yeah, I would like to, I know we're talking about this documentary. I will say that I did not know that his list was so long. I watched a number of his TV shows. For the most part, I've watched at least one episode of probably all of them. Even though I didn't know about this. What is it? Is Young Noah or something? I didn't know about that one.
That's new too, isn't it?
I
think it's pretty new.
New within the past 5 years, maybe. But I think it's young. I didn't know he did that. But for the most part, his TV shows I have watched. Mm-hmm. And Oprah was saying the soap opera, The Have and a Half Nots. I didn't watch that until my mother was staying with me earlier this year, and I kind of recommended that she watch. I'm like, well, you're watching the other soap operas. Why not watch, What Looks Like You? Mm-hmm. And she got hooked on it. Every time she come in now, she's kind of binge watching because it's a lot of seasons. But Oprah Winfrey, according to Oprah Winfrey, she encouraged him to do a soap opera, to do that particular soap. And again, it was on for a lot of seasons, but I didn't know that he did a lot. He has a long list of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even some that's outside of that he wrote. He's been in what's that main character? It was once done by Morgan Freeman. The police officer. Can't remember it offhand, but he did that. He played in is it Star Wars or
Not me, not this time.
The main
but he had yes, it was it was a police detective. Oh Lord, I can't think of the name.
With Morgan Freeman?
No, Morgan Freeman played it initially. It's called a spider. Oh Lord, I can't think of it. But
so what is Tyler Perry? He wrote the story, or what happened?
no, he just redid it. He was the leading character in the story.
And they killed his wife in a restaurant, and he was having dinner.
Yes. You seen that?
Yeah, but I don't remember the name.
We don't know the name of. We was talking about that. We don't know the name of it though. What's the name of it?
Right.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Oh.
You're gonna have to go back into the archives and find out the name of these movies. But that was a good movie.
Right, it was. And he played in Along Came a Spider is the name of the movie.
Oh, I don't.
But the character he played, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the character.
Along Came the Spider?
Along Came a Spider.
I don't remember.
I
watched that movie. The movie of his wife being killed while they eating at a restaurant, but I don't remember that title at all.
He was the because he was the detective. I just can't remember.
Right, he was the detective. I remember that. He was the detective.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. But Tyler Perry, I think he does the Black community good. We need entertainment. We need our own studios, right? Mm-hmm. And he's doing everything that he should do. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't think he should be beholden to anyone. I'm glad he's himself and he could just express himself. Art is art. Mm-hmm. And I love it. And Tyler, if you ever see this, don't get rid of Medea. Don't try to kill her. I like her. We love her. We like Medea. Yay!
One of the things, if I have a critique, not of this documentary, but of his writing, and because he likes to write everything, he does all of it. And I know, like, in the documentary, he was talking to Oprah, and he was telling Oprah that they were shooting, I think, a episode a day. She's like, "What? All you heard saying is what?" kind of thing. But what he said, and one of his movies, oh my goodness, it was a movie that he shot. I think he recorded or taped it over a weekend or something. It was very short. Mm-hmm. And we was like looking at it like, yeah, okay, we can tell. It's the movie that starred Felicia Rashad as a bad person, right? Oh, yeah. And I don't remember the name of it, but he was one of the things that he said in the documentary was that from him watching Hollywood, he Fall from Grace, exactly. Mm-hmm. And he was saying how they use too much time and they waste. I'm looking for it. I took notes. I apologize. And that they waste so much time just, I guess, doing all the cuts and all of this and all of that. So by taping quickly, it's saving money. It's funny. I just was looking at it. It's saving money. And I thought that was something. So that was like one of my, I guess that was one of the critiques for, not my critique, but I know some people who are writers and in that field, they were critiquing that particular movie because I think he did it over a weekend and you can kind of tell it was kind of rushed together. Mm-hmm. But I know we had this discussion before when we was talking about Tyler Perry. We were saying how he needs other people to write for him because you can tell in his writing that some things aren't connecting. And I started thinking that I don't think it's everything. Like, I've seen some of his plays, I've seen his movies, but it's his TV shows that I think the disconnect is there, where he's not following through. And maybe it's because he has to keep the storyline going in a TV show, whereas a play, it's that episode, whereas a movie, it's that, and that's it, where, it kind of, that's it. I'm going to shoot this and that's it. But with the TV shows, you have to keep the story going. And because he's writing it and he doesn't have other people looking at it. I don't know if he's other people looking at it, but he's the one doing it. So if you watch his TV shows, a lot of them, he doesn't follow through. There'll be a comment, a character will say something, and something needs to come later, and it doesn't. So I'm glad to hear one of my favorite shows of his, which is Sisters. that I'm glad to hear that he hired a writing circle, because I be looking at these actors like, can't you all say something to him? Like, you all know this doesn't, something's missing here. Why can't you say something and just so that it looks better to them, as it looks better on them as a character, that they are not, sometimes you just have to speak. You have to speak up and say if something's not right.
You can write for me, Tyler. You can write for me.
Well, I'm glad that he's grown to the point where he realizes that he may need help. And I was speaking to someone who is who critiques the fact that he doesn't write, that he does write for himself. And I was telling them that he's hired a writing circle, and it was like, good. And but before they said that, they was asking, well, what's the audience of this particular show? And this particular show is about 4 or 5 friends, young women in their 30s, who are living life in Atlanta, single women living life in Atlanta. And their comment was, well, he has to, probably because he can't relate to them. He's a man in his, in his 50s. He can't really relate to them, so that he needs somebody else who can relate to these characters and their audience. So, but I'm glad to see that he's growing to the point that he's letting somebody else do some of the writing.
The movie we were talking about before was Alex Cross.
Yes.
Alex Cross. That's right.
Yep.
You go, girl.
I guess you looked it up, huh?
What makes you think I didn't just remember?
No, you didn't.
Looked it up. I looked it up.
You did. So let me question. Out of his TV, no, out of his movies, what's your favorite thus far?
That's good. I think for me, it's oh my God. I just said it before. Come back to
Diary.
Huh?
Diary.
No, not Diary.
Which was his first movie, which I didn't know.
Taraji P. No, the one with Taraji P.
Acrimony.
No, I hated that movie. I'm sorry.
I can do bad all by myself.
I can do bad all by myself. Yes, that was it.
I
love the play as well too. I seen the play.
I didn't see it. I don't even remember the plays that I've seen. I don't know the name of them. Sass is buffering over there.
I see.
So I like the Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I like Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but I also like Why Did I Get Married? A couple of those characters I could do without. The character 4 couples. Yeah, I could do without the 2 loud couples. The 2 loud ones.
There's always something like that in the crowd.
I can do without them, but then they went on and got their own show, for better or worse.
They did. And did you know those 2 used to date?
It was interesting that. Say that again.
They used to date in real life. Those 2 used to date.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Was that before the show or after?
Before the show. Way before the show. Because he's been married to his wife, I think, now for 15 years or so.
Oh, I didn't know that at all. Did not know that. Now, what about do you watch any of his TV shows?
I do. Actually, I'm back to watching Sisters. So I kind of went back to the first season. So I'm kind of back with that. So I'm watching that. I also like what else do I like? I got into Satima and the Satima and
Zatima.
Satima. Got into that one.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Thank you. It's sabotage.
So I would say my favorite would probably be Sisters also. I like the House of Pain. Again, another character I can kind of get rid of.
Oh, I love that. Who?
Mr. Payne. You know what? Let me say no. Let me say that because you have he's too much. He's just too much. And it's always the same thing. It's like, can we change a little? Can we change? Just like with Meet the Browns. Oh my goodness, I liked Meet the Browns the movie, but Meet the Browns with the TV show and David Mann. It's like, come on now, you're too much. It's too much.
But again, it's comedy. That's what they are. That's what everybody's coming for, to see what foolishness Mr. Brown is about to say.
Yeah, I guess.
And we know we have some Mr. Browns.
Yeah, I know. So Sister Sass, we were going over like, what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite? Well, you don't watch the TV shows. What's your favorite movie? Your favorite play?
Family Reunion, one of the early ones. And Class Reunion, and Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I like the plays. I'm partial to the plays.
Yeah, plays. I love the singing too.
You like the singing?
I do.
I do too. Well, wrapping this up, Tyler Perry, if you're listening, please subscribe, friend, and follow, and like Your Mama Said What on all social platforms. Your Mama Said What? Ladies,
raw and polished.
Your mama said what? Your mama said what? Your mama said what? Your mama said what? Your mama said what?